Have you ever had a moment where you knew what you needed to do, get up early, make that call, hit the gym, but instead you hesitated, and just like that, the moment passed?
Yeah.
Me too. We often think laziness is about a lack of willpower. But what if I told you it's not about laziness? It's about hesitation, and that there's a simple trick that takes just 5 seconds to beat it? Let me tell you about the moment that changed everything for me. I was stuck professionally, emotionally, physically. I knew what I needed to do, but I wasn't doing it. Then one night, I heard the story of a NASA rocket launch, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, liftoff, and I thought, what if I treated my decisions like that? No time to think, just count down and launch. That's when everything changed. Today, I want to share with you the power of the 5-second rule, and 5 key reasons why this simple trick can be your most powerful weapon against procrastination and laziness. We've been sold a beautiful lie, a comforting one. We're told that once motivation strikes, once we feel ready, passionate, excited, that's when we'll finally take the leap, launch the idea, chase the dream. But here's the truth most people never hear. Motivation doesn't come before action. It comes after. That's not a theory, it's how we're wired. Your brain was built to protect you, not to push you. It doesn't care about your goals. It cares about your safety, your comfort, your predictability. Every time you contemplate doing something new, something uncertain, something that stretches your limits, it throws up alarms. That's uncomfortable. That's risky. That's unfamiliar. And it whispers, let's just wait until we feel more ready. But readiness never comes, because the longer you wait, the louder those alarms get. The more persuasive your excuses become. That's not laziness. That's biology. Your brain isn't the enemy. It's just doing what it was designed to do. But here's the powerful part. We get to interrupt that pattern. We get to choose differently. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to move before your brain talks you out of it. That's why something as simple as counting backward 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 can change everything. It sounds silly, but it's neuroscience. That countdown jolts you out of autopilot and forces your prefrontal cortex to engage the part of your brain responsible for action, focus, and deliberate decision-making. That tiny gap, that's your moment of power. Think of it like this. Ever tried taking a cold shower? No one wants to step into icy water. Your brain screams, nope, not today. But if you stop thinking and just count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then step in, something incredible happens. Your breath shortens, your heart pounds, you feel alive. You didn't wait to feel brave or strong. You moved first, and those feelings followed. This applies to everything. Making the call, sending the proposal, starting the run, walking into the gym, writing the first sentence. You move before you're ready. And in doing so, you create the readiness you were waiting for. The truth is, motivation is a byproduct of doing. It's not the fuel. It's the fire that starts after you strike the match. So stop waiting to feel inspired. You don't need more confidence. You don't need more clarity. You need 1 second of courage. And that second, that tiny, inconvenient, uncomfortable moment, can become the catalyst that changes everything. Act first, feel later. That's how change really begins. Have you ever felt that tiny voice in your head whispering, what if I fail? Right when you were about to do something bold? Maybe it was in a meeting where your idea could have changed the direction of the conversation. Maybe it was sending that message, applying for that role, or finally starting something that's lived in your heart for far too long. The truth is, most of us aren't crushed by failure. We're crushed by the weight of what we never dared to try. Hesitation is the silent killer of dreams. Not because it shouts, but because it waits. It lurks in the gap between instinct and action. Just 5 seconds wide, where fear tiptoes in dressed as logic and self-preservation. Think about it, 5 seconds. That's all it takes for your brain to pull the emergency brake. It'll whisper things like, now's not the right time, or you're not ready. Not because it's right, but because it's scared. Your brain isn't trying to help you grow, it's trying to keep you safe. Safe from judgment, from risk, from exposure. But here's the paradox. The very things we fear are often the gateway to what we want most. We dream of being seen, heard, respected. Yet we hesitate in the very moments that could earn us those things. I remember a friend who wanted to post her first video online. She'd recorded it dozens of times. She edited every second with care. But every time she hovered over that upload button, doubt crept in. What if no one watches? What if they do and they don't like it? Weeks went by. The video sat there ready, but not really, until one night she did something different. She didn't wait for permission. She counted down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and clicked. That video got 12 views. Nothing viral, nothing dramatic. But it broke the cycle. That one moment of courage became a habit. Today, she has over 100,000 subscribers. Not because she was fearless, but because she stopped hesitating long enough to act. Fear didn't stop her. Hesitation did. Until she took the power back. And isn't that the truth for all of us? Most dreams don't die because they were impossible. They die in silence, in waiting for the perfect moment, in trying to guarantee a flawless outcome, in hiding behind what if instead of charging into let's see. The tragedy isn't in failing, it's in never starting. So next time you feel that hesitation creep in, don't negotiate with it. Move, say it, try it, post it, start it. Not when you're ready, but before you have the chance to talk yourself out of it. Because that's when the magic happens. That's where your life begins to change. Not in the absence of fear, but in those small bold acts of defiance against. We often believe that in order to create change, we must make grand sweeping gestures. Leaps that disrupt our lives in ways that feel cinematic and dramatic. But that's a myth. Real change doesn't arrive with fireworks or epiphanies. It arrives in moments so small we often overlook them. It begins when the alarm goes off, and we choose not to hit snooze. It starts when we feel hesitation rise in our chest. And instead of letting it win, we count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move. That's not just a countdown, it's a liftoff. The truth is, every time we act in those seemingly insignificant moments, we're casting a vote, not for who we are right now but for who we're becoming. And that's the secret. You don't need to change your whole life today. You don't need to master the mountain. You just need to move take one step, win one moment. Because small wins compound. The science backs it up. The 2018 study from the University of London showed it takes on average 66 days to form a habit. But here's the good news. You don't need to count all 66. You just need to focus on the next 5 seconds. Can you do something courageous for 5 seconds? Can you choose better just once? Of course you can. And then you do it again. That's how transformation happens. Not in the span of months or years, but in a series of seconds. Each 5-second decision rewires your brain. You are in effect shaping the structure of who you are through repetition. You're building grit. You're building consistency. And you're proving to yourself, over and over, that you are the kind of person who shows up, even when it's uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable. It's not about intensity. It's about frequency. The magic isn't in doing one thing 100% better. It's in doing 100 things 1% better. Repeatedly. James Clear said it perfectly. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. In the 5-second rule, it's your ballot. It's how you make the invisible visible. It's how you show up for the version of you that's been waiting to take the lead. Not someday. Not when you feel ready. Now. So next time you feel resistance, don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the perfect moment. It won't come. Instead, give yourself the gift of movement. 5 seconds of courage. 5 seconds of choice. That's how leaders are born. That's how lives are changed. Not with giant leaps, but with tiny powerful moments of action. Again and again. Confidence is not something we're born with. It's not a switch you flip or a feeling that suddenly washes over you when the stars align just right. Confidence is built brick by brick through action, through doing the very things that scare us, challenge us, or push us beyond what feels comfortable. And it's in that space, right at the edge of discomfort, where something remarkable happens. We begin to trust ourselves. Most people think confidence is something you wait for, that somehow when you feel ready, you'll take the leap. You'll raise your hand. You'll speak up. You'll start the project. But that's not how it works. Waiting to feel confident is like waiting to be perfect. It's a trap. Because feelings are fleeting, and fear doesn't vanish on command. What creates confidence is showing up again and again, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it, there's something quietly powerful about following through on the promises you make to yourself. That's where true confidence is born. Not in thinking about, not in planning or talking or dreaming. In doing, in the moment you act, especially when it's hard, you begin to redefine what you're capable of. You create evidence that you are someone who shows up, someone who follows through, someone who can be counted on. I once worked with a man who was paralyzed by fear every time he was asked to speak in front of a group. His heart would race, his mouth would dry up. He avoided it at all costs. But one day, he made a choice. A small but radical choice. He decided to stop negotiating with his fear. He used the 5-second rule, counted down from 5, and stood up. His voice cracked. His hands trembled. But he did it. He got through it. And in that moment, something inside him shifted. The next time, it was a little easier. And the next, even more so. Today, that same man speaks for a living. He's a powerful communicator, not because he's fearless, but because he learned to act in spite of fear. Confidence, then, is not the absence of doubt. It's the decision to move forward anyway. It's built not by thinking about who you want to be, but by becoming that person one decision at a time. When you take action, especially small, consistent action, you don't just build a skill, you build belief. You begin to trust that voice inside that says, I've got this. That's what changes everything. So if you want to feel more confident, Stop waiting to feel ready. Start doing the things you say you're going to do. Show up. Follow through. Let your actions become your proof. Because the truth is, confidence isn't found, it's earned. And every time you choose courage over comfort, you are earning it. You are one decision away from a completely different life. Let that sink in, not just as a catchy phrase, but as a truth that can shake you to your core if you let it. One decision, one moment, one choice. And it's not the kind of decision that's neat or glamorous. It's not the kind you get praised for in the spotlight. It's the kind that usually happens in the quiet, in the dark, when no one's watching. That's where life changes. That's where transformation begins. It doesn't take a miracle. It doesn't take waiting for the right time, the right opportunity, or the right circumstances. It takes a decision, a single defiant choice to move forward, even if you're scared, even if you're unsure, even if you're completely unqualified, especially when you're unqualified. Because growth doesn't come when you feel ready. It comes when you're willing to be uncomfortable. Think about it. The life you're living now was shaped by the choices you made yesterday, the job you have, the relationships you're in, the beliefs you carry, all born from decisions. Some were conscious, some weren't, but every single one added up to this moment. So imagine what could happen if you made one choice today that scared you in the right direction, one choice that demanded courage over comfort, one choice that traded doubt for discipline. It's not about being fearless, it's about taking the next step while you're still afraid, because fear will always be there. It's wired into our survival. But courage, real courage, is forged in the presence of that fear. It's what happens when you feel the weight of uncertainty and still move. That's the decision that changes everything. When you hear that alarm in the morning, and your first instinct is to hide under the blanket of excuses, remember, that's a decision. You can choose to hit snooze, or you can choose to rise. And rising doesn't just mean getting out of bed, it means rising to your potential, rising to the version of you that you know is buried beneath layers of doubt, procrastination and fear, the version of you that is bold enough to chase something better. When you're staring at your phone, afraid to call, to speak up, to ask for what you need, remember, that silence is a decision. And what if instead of choosing silence, you chose to speak? What if instead of choosing fear, you chose action? One sentence could open a door. One call could start a chain reaction. One conversation could connect you with someone who changes the trajectory of your life. And when you're ready to give up, when your body's tired, your heart's weary, and your mind is screaming that you can't do it anymore, that's the moment. That's the decision that matters most. Because the difference between people who succeed and people who don't, it's not talent, it's not luck, it's not even resources, it's persistence. It's the refusal to let that one hard moment define your future. It's choosing to get up when staying down would be easier. 5, 4, 3. You don't need a master plan or a 10-year vision in that moment. You need motion. Because motion breaks the cycle. Motion silences the doubt. Motion creates clarity. Once you're in motion, everything begins to shift. We tend to think our lives change in dramatic cinematic moments, but the truth is, they change in the quiet courage of the everyday. They change in the decision to say yes to what's difficult, in the decision to walk away from what no longer serves us, in the decision to believe in our own worth, even when no one else does, especially then. There's something powerful about knowing that the gap between where you are and where you want to be isn't as wide as it seems. It's not a canyon, it's a step, and then another, and then another. The first step will always be the hard, but once you take it, you realize you're not as stuck as you thought. You realize the cage wasn't locked. You were holding the key all along. This isn't about perfection. It's not about crafting a life that's free from pain, struggle, or failure. That's not realistic, and it's not where greatness lives. Greatness lives in motion, in expansion, in the willingness to grow, to evolve, to fail and try again. The life that's waiting for you on the other side of your decision isn't perfect, but it is alive. It's vibrant. It's full of meaning and momentum and purpose. You already know what you need to do. Deep down, you've always known. We all do. It's just that knowing isn't enough. Knowing doesn't create change. Doing does. So the real question isn't whether you're capable. You are. It's whether you'll decide. Not someday. Not when it's easy. Not when you feel like it. But now. Because now is all you ever have. This moment. This breath. This choice. You are one decision away from waking up to the life you were meant to live. One decision away from rewriting your story. One decision away from freedom. So take it. Even if your voice shakes. Even if your hands tremble. Take it. Because on the other side of that decision is a version of you that's been waiting patiently. A version that's stronger. Bolder. More fulfilled. A version that looks back at this very moment. With gratitude. Because this is when everything changed. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for clarity. Don't wait for the fear to go away. Decide, move, trust, and keep going. You are one decision away. So here's your challenge. Try it. Not tomorrow. Use the rule, for something small, then something bigger. And remember, laziness isn't your enemy, hesitation is, but now you have a tool to beat it. You don't need to wait to feel ready. You don't need to wait to feel brave. You just need to count down and long, because sometimes 5 seconds is all it takes to change your life. Would you like a shortened version for social media or a formatted version for teleprompter delivery?